The object of Taxi Chronicles is to allow real riders with real stories share their experience and enhance your life. So sit back and enjoy the journey. Morning. Yes, we're back with another episode on Another Rider. Today we have a teacher in the house, or head of science, I believe.
Yes, I am the head of faculty at a secondary school in inner city London.
Okay, there you have it. And she's going to tell us all about why she got into teaching, how she got into teaching, and what motivates her. So nice to have you here today.
Thank you very much.
So tell us, why teaching?
For me, the journey into teaching was kind of by accident. So I did my university degree, finished in 2008. I actually qualified as a forensic scientist, but then in 2008 there was a big recession. The forensic science service closed down, jobs were lost, so that career was out of the window. I spent about 2 years in retail, and then one day someone told me, oh, do you know if you learn to teach, they're going to pay you? So initially I did it because the government were going to pay me to do that job. But once I actually started it, I didn't actually realise I would actually enjoy it. And with teaching, there is a very negative press about young people, that people think, oh, they're rude, they have no manners. That is true of a very small minority. And there's actually, every day you get to meet such well-mannered, intelligent young people who actually you can learn a lot from as well. And I think that when it comes to teaching, the fact that you are able to guide someone into doing what they want to make them a better person, also help them progress in their future, is actually very rewarding. And even though I know some people just say that, it actually is, because when you turn around, say I've been teaching 11 years now, and I was walking down the street and so I saw someone call my name on the street, but my surname as well, so I knew it had to be a student. They were in university, about to graduate, and oh, thank you so much, miss. It's like, if it wasn't for your science lessons, I'd never have done this. And then just that feeling of like, oh, I did that.
What were they studying in university?
Medicine.
Okay.
So I taught that particular child GCSE and A-level chemistry.
Okay, that's good. So that must be a great feeling. And the fact that the child wants to approach you, because some children will just look and not say anything because they had a bad experience. But yeah, I see what they're saying. Now, before we delve down the rabbit hole of teaching even further, you spoke about forensic science. Why forensic science?
I wasn't always good at science in school, but forensics fascinated me because the fact you can actually solve such a big thing with a very small piece of evidence, I found really fascinating. And like, when you actually look into what forensics is used for, it's mind-blowing, the fact that a single fingerprint can unlock a whole case.
To expand on that, what information can a single fingerprint give?
Alright, so with a fingerprint, everybody's fingerprints are unique, even identical twins, because your fingerprints are formed depending on where you place your fingers in the womb. So no two people in the world have the same fingerprints. So if your fingerprint is on something, previously it meant you were there, or there's some highly skilled criminal that's copied it and put it there. But a fingerprint can link you to a particular scene because it's yours.
Okay. Can you, like with biology, can you do time, tell what time that person was somewhere?
Sunburn, not really sunburn, but if you think about death, after a body dies, it goes through different stages of rigor mortis, is like how the body tenses up when it's dead, and depending on the level of rigor mortis, you can tell when that corpse died. And there are certain clues you can tell by the colour of the discoloration of the blood, the way the eyes start to turn, how much liquid has been lost in the body, and all that tells you you can start dating, and actually that body's been dead for about 5 hours based on this.
Okay. So when you're teaching science, do you teach all of that element as well within there?
If it's relevant to the topic, I do always bring in my forensic background into the class. They all know it and they love it.
Yeah, I can see the old CSI and all of that comes to mind. They must be very impressed.
It's very different from what you see on TV though. Very different.
How so?
You don't get to walk around in glamorous suits over dead bodies. You can't do that. It's a crime scene. You have to cordon it off, full white suits, masks, everything. So it doesn't look as glamorous as it does on TV. And it smells.
Okay, yeah, I suppose it would be. Do you, how do you, so you've done that job for real, even as an assistant?
I did it as an internship for a month before the recession. Closed down the forensic science service.
Yeah. So how did you deal with that month? Because there's probably quite a few scenes, gory scenes, or traumatic scenes that you had to deal with.
Well, as part of your university training anyway, we had like a crime house where we had to look at decomposition, and we used to go into the hospitals and look at the corpses with the medical students. So in that sense, I had seen similar things already, even though with every case, if there is a dead body, it's someone dead, and it's quite disturbing. But the actual, if you think of it as I'm here not to think about the emotion behind it, but just to look for the science, it was all right.
So you're quite capable of switching yourself off, because I'm thinking if you saw children, all these kind of things, that would be quite...
You do. I think you do have to be able to compartmentalize a lot, but that's even within teaching as well, because within teaching, you've also got, we're exposed to all the child protection issues and things that are going on with pupils personally at home, and you need to be able to look at that child and pretend you don't know and treat them like nothing's going on, even though you know what they've been through that morning is horrible.
Okay. Yeah, I see what you mean. So transferring those skills to children, I can see how you do it. What's your advice of handling your mental health? How do you handle your mental health?
I think it's just important to remember that even though teaching is a very important job, it is only a job. And there comes a point where you have to be able to detach yourself from the situation. When it's home time, it's home time. And when I go home, I relax. Weekend, I see my family, see my friends. And on Monday, I come back to school. And it's also really important not to take things personally. So if you've got a kid having a bad day, they will say all sorts to you. They will tell you you're the worst person in the world. They will tell you you can't teach. They'll tell you you're evil. They will say anything because they are hurting and they want to hurt you. So the minute, as long as you don't take it personally, the next day you can come back and talk to that same child again and say, "Are you okay today? Let's move on."
And how do they respond?
A lot of the students actually appreciate being given a clean slate when they've had a bad day, because as children they can't handle their emotions very well. And we need to model as adults that yes, you can have a bad day, but it's not as how you deal with the aftermath, not what you do, and that's how you can mend the situation. And if we can say, okay, that wasn't good yesterday, I know you were in a bad place, but that can't happen again, but we can move forward. And it's just giving that lesson to them so they can become better people in life as well.
Yeah, that's very true. What have you learnt over your extensive career that you wish you knew when you had started?
Ooh. I think that basically you may think you know the job you're doing and everything about it, but there's always so much more to learn. And just never assume that you know it all, or that I've conquered it, I can do everything, I know exactly how to deal with this, because there's so many situations in life and so many different things that will throw you at every point. Even with technology moving on, it's like you constantly need to be learning and trying to better yourself. Otherwise, you get left behind.
What would be your words of advice to a 16-year-old who's going to go into the industry of teaching?
I would say be patient and be kind, because you are dealing with a person, be a young person, still a person.
Patient and kind. I like that. And what would you say to your 16-year-old self?
Life is not going to turn out how you expect, so keep going, keep trying, and keep doing the best.
That sounds interesting. When you say expect, what was that?
I thought I was going to be a forensic scientist. I wanted to move to America. all these big dreams that no. But actual facts, like with the state of America now, I'm glad I don't live in America. And all the things that I thought, like you had this idea of, oh, by the time I'm 30, all these things would happen. I'll own a house, I'll do that. But you don't actually realise what goes into it and all the other circumstances that things must align for those things to happen. And you don't really realise that at 16. You think, oh yeah, by the time I'm 30, because you think 30 is old when you're 16.
Yeah, and
now I'm 35, 30 is young.
I was thinking what I wouldn't do to be 30 again, because you're still young enough to do quite a few things, and you're still old enough to have enough understanding.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's a good age. It's a good age. It goes by in a flicker. It goes by in a flicker,
The years start going really fast now, don't they?
Yeah. But okay, that's good. If you could do it all again, would you?
Yes. I think since I started teaching, it has changed me a lot as a person. I think it's changed me for the better. I've become a more understanding person, and I think I've become, as a child, I think I was quite selfish and quite self-centered.
Are you the youngest child?
No, I'm the middle child.
Okay.
I have middle child syndrome. But I think that's actually, it's just taught me to be kind, patient, understanding. I think it's actually made me a better person.
Okay.
So I would do it again. I still love the job.
Yeah. Well, you did say kind and patience, so that makes sense. That makes sense. So, what does the future hold for you?
Well, currently I have just passed my qualification for senior leadership, which is a master's level qualification. So plan is to progress further in teaching into senior leadership, and then probably branch out. I don't think I want to go into headship. I think I want to branch out into educational policies, because I think the way the government are doing things are not right for the people they're doing it for. So I think I want a more active role in deciding what happens in schools for the young people that attend them.
Okay, that's really good. You've been a great guest.
Thank you very much.
We appreciate this interview. We at Taxi Chronicles believe in sharing a gift. You've done that in hope that a younger person hears your story and gets inspired. Last two questions. First question is, what's the best educational route to take to get to where you are today? If you were talking to someone to become a teacher.
I would definitely say, I would advise doing a PGCE, even though it is another...
What's a PGCE?
So, postgraduate certificate in education. What that entails is a 1-year university course where you do placement within schools within that year. The other route is initial teacher training, but I find that it's a lot harder because it throws you straight into schools and you are learning on the job. And I feel as a trainee teacher, you need that time to go back to uni, regroup, talk to your peers before you go back into another school. And having placements rather than full-time in schools, I think was a lot helpful to understand the job you're doing and actually be able to do it with a clear head.
That's good. That's really good info. Good. I can see that will be the bite for when I'm promoting this episode. The other question is, imagine the world, you're standing in front of the world, 7.5 billion people, no pressure, and they want one sentence of wisdom from you based on your life experience. What would that be?
Okay. Never give up. Because things will happen if you work hard and actively try to make them happen.
Well, thanks a lot for that, and we wish you well.
Thank you very much.
We hope that episode enhanced your life. We post an interview every day, as well as vlogging on our social media channels. Don't forget to subscribe to get our latest episode.